Hi everyone. So we're going to get going here in just a moment. So what are we going over today? Today we're going to go over exporting. We're going to also go over what mastering is, codecs, which is something very unique and odd, which you'll learn about in this. And finally, the last thing we're going to go over is Chroma sampling, and why this all matters with exporting. So let's get ready in Premiere. For some reason, one of my shortcuts is not working, so I have to do this the hard way. And let's get into it. So I'm going to hit auto. My little shortcut panel isn't working for me, so I have to do it with the mouse. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have. So we have our project right here. It is finished. And now we want to export it. How do you export? Well, you can use either the shortcut command Control M, and I'm going to go ahead and start doing my configure region of interest thing that I always have to do. Okay, let's go in and go right here and make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to File, and actually I'm going to go ahead and zoom this a lot more out. There we go. File, Export, Media. And as you can see, it says Control M. Now before I can do that, I need to go make sure that I have my timeline selected. I know my timeline is selected by the blue highlight around it. With my timeline selected, I can go over to File, Export, Media, and I'm ready to export. Now there's a few things in front of me that I want to take care of. First off is by default, if I can find it, your video is going to look like this in this export window with those black bars. That means it's going to export in an old school SD format. We don't want to do that. We work with HD footage. So how to get around that? Well, if you've created the sequence like I told you, the AVCHD sequence, you should just be able to hit match sequence settings. This will become HD and you're ready to export. But I want you to look very closely right here. In fact, I'm going to go zoom in so you can see it. Now, if you're working with the footage I gave you, this right here should say .mpeg. Right now it says .mxf. If I change off of that, .avi, I want .mpeg, but if I click on this, it's .mxf. Why is that? Okay, let's go ahead and cancel and take a look over here. Now I made two timelines. One has a lot of zeros in it, but it's my footage. All my footage is in it. Then I have this one called sequence 01. Now, why would I end up with a sequence with a lot of zeros or a lot of random numbers? Well, I want to go ahead and close both of these. If I just click and drag a clip down like this, it's just going to make a sequence. And it's going to base the sequence off of that clip. We don't want to do that. We never want to do that. So if by some chance that did happen to you back in the earlier videos, this is the time to do a Control N to see this prompt. Or you can go to, again, File, New Sequence, which is right there. And because if you're working with the footage I gave you, we want to go with AVCHD, 1080i, AVCHD, 1080i 30, 60i. That is what we want to use. So make sure you're using a sequence like this, and go back to your bad sequence, Control A, and cut, Control X, go to your good sequence, Control V, and now you're going to have, now when we go to export, Control M, we go match sequence settings, right there it says MPEG, what we want it to say. So I'm going to go back to the way I had it. There we go. Back to my good sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and do Control M. And when I hit match sequence settings now, like I said, I'll zoom in on it. .mpeg. .mpeg is, so MPEG is a very well-known universal video type. That is why we want to use it. Now, let's say you were doing something for the web. well, what you would do would change. Instead of hitting match sequence settings, you can go over here and go format, and we want to select H.264. Now, many of you might be familiar with what's called .mp4, so like down here. However, MP4 doesn't have a lot of settings that we can change with, and it's going to be very low settings. You can even look over here and see how pixelated his face just became. But if we were going to go for the web, .h.264, and here presets, there's actually one for YouTube, way down here at the bottom. And I would do YouTube 1080. That's if you want to do a web export. And this is going to help a lot because as I move, so I got my YouTube 1080. As I move down here, you can see the file size is going to be 91 megabytes. That's not big comparatively to some other video files, but it's a lot smaller than what you could expect. So if we go down up here and go back to match sequence settings, we don't have a file size comparison, but I can tell you it's going to be about 200 megs, about twice the size. Why is it going to be so big? Well, MPEG, at least the version that we use, is meant for TV distribution. So if we were going to export something for TV, we would want to use MPEG. And most of the stuff we do in our video program is meant for TV, so that's why we choose MPEG. And why we do all those settings at the beginning for the proper sequence, for match sequence settings here. So when we do export, it is going to be an MPEG file, which then we can put through a TV system and get perfectly clean video. But if we're producing something that's strictly for the internet, or need to transfer the video file to somebody else, well, I would go ahead and use .h.264 YouTube format, as that is so universal for uploading to any video site, but also for anybody to play back on almost any device. Now, why does this all matter? Well, when you're talking about big video files like I do, the fact I'm making it for TV, I need to worry about something called, here we go, Chroma sampling. And here we go. So Chroma sampling is pretty much how we break down a video so it's much smaller. And there's many different types of Chroma sampling. TV is right here. So right over here we would call the original. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this as best I can. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and zoom it out. Okay? So the key thing here is to look at this little box. It looks a little pixelated there, more so over here, really here, and a lot right here. Why is that? Well, different video types store video in a lot of different ways. What you need to know is 444 sampling holds the most information. 422 is old school TV, and it holds some information very well. 420 holds less information of color and light, and 411 is the type that's normally used on the web for a lot of video because it can really compress it down. So as you can see, for TV format, this is for HD TV, versus online format, there's a lot of difference here. So if I want to keep as much quality as possible, I'm going to use a TV format. But we're going to go ahead and say for this, we're going to do for the web. Actually, let's do both. Let's do both. So I'm going to go ahead and make my for TV format first. By just following what I've said, I'm going to just click on Match Sequence Settings. But now I want to go ahead and pick, and I know I'm doing a lot of this moving, but don't worry, it means something. I want to pick where my video is going to go. So right under here where it says Output Name, this is where I can rename my file and choose its final destination. Now I've been saying for a while now you want to make sure you have your videos going to a particular spot. So I would probably go to the root of my scratch disk and then go ahead and rename my file to be simple joke video. I'd probably tag my last name on there as well, just for archiving purposes. Hit save. It's not done yet. We have to go down to here. Oop, let me zoom in, zoom out. We gotta go down here and click export. And the moment I do, a new window is gonna open up. And this is gonna show the export process. Depending on your PC, this could take a lot of time or it could be fairly quick. Mine, I would say, is fairly quick compared to other people. So we're gonna wait for that to get done. Okay, I now have my video file right here. Now there's this other file that gets formed when you make XMP. It's called, when you make MPEG, it's called XMP. I would just delete it. But this file here is 178 megs, so double the size of what we were going to get with an MP4. But this is perfect for my master file. So if I just want to have a good quality file for archiving purposes that I could use again in any other video, I have a master file that I can move wherever I want. But let's go ahead and make that YouTube file. So again, I'm going to use my shortcut Control M. Go up here and select Format, H.264. My preset, I'm going to go on, and it's near the very bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. Oops. There we go. YouTube 1080 Full HD. And I'm going to go ahead and rename my file again and name this simple joke video. Take off that MPEG. Hit save. And once again, hit export. And this will make a file that's very small and perfect for online distribution. This file you could technically move to YouTube itself, Vimeo, you could upload it to Twitter, you could upload it to your own phone even. That's how versatile this H.264 format is. Okay, so now it's done. Let's go back to my scratch disk, and now I see both files. And if I pay really close attention over here, I can see how big they are. And they're pretty, I would say that the YouTube one is fairly small. It says 77,000 kilobytes, which is actually about 75.3 kilobytes. Whereas my master version, my MPEG version, is 178 megabytes. So definitely it's less than half the size, and that's perfect. I don't need something huge if I'm just going to upload it online. So let's upload this to somewhere. And where I'm going to upload it to is going to be a little Google Classroom link I made for those that are watching this and part of the video via Google Classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and go and get that prepped. So I have my little area called Final Videos put here. It's successful via Google Classroom. I'm going to go ahead and quickly click and drag the MP4. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and move that a little bit out of the way. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag it over to here into the Google Chrome. I'm going to wait for it to upload. And it's done uploading. Now, before you upload this, I would definitely make sure to, watch this thing in its entirety. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. I'm going to double click on it. Watch it back, make sure it's clean. Scrub through maybe, make sure there's no mistakes. And yeah, and then I would upload it. And that's what we're going to call it for this simple skill building portion here. So we have gone through how to make a project in Adobe, how to edit in Adobe, bring in audio sources, make graphics using legacy title. And now finally we've taken the completed video and exported it and put it somewhere for people to use and watch. And that's what I would like you to do. Now there's a few other last things I want to go over with. So we talked about chroma sampling and why that matters. Now there's a few other things as well, and we've been talking about this called video codecs. And there's a reason we use the video codecs we do. So if I go over here to video formats, when we export something, we sadly have to use what's called a lossy codec, because we're going to lose information. And there's a lot of different codecs, but the key two you want to know are MPEG, which is TV standard, and H.264, which is internet standard. And those two codecs will mean a lot. It means that if you make something in those two standards, it should be played back. I could be able to play back in almost any location. Okay, so I think that completes this portion. Let me just double check. And yeah, this should complete this portion. So if you've made an H.264 file, it will have an extension called MP4. And we saw that just moments ago, right here. And if you make an MPEG file, it will be a .mpeg. This is a great way to tell if you made one for the internet or if you made one for television. Okay, so that is it for today. Let me bring this over. Yep, so that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to go over, I want to go over how to work with graphics, a legacy title, and also work with transitions in a way. And we'll continue on from there. If you have any questions, please let me know, as this again is for skill building. It's to help keep your skills in tune. Make sure that you don't lose them as we continue on. And I think that is it. So I will see you. I really don't like this setup right now because I can't hit the button I want to get to where I want. So I think it's GFX 1, 2. No. It's... There we go. There we go. It's kind of hard to work with this in this current format, as I have a touchpad right here. This is supposed to be all my shortcuts for the camera changes, but it's not exactly working over on the device over here. So anyways, that is it. And so so again, next time we're going to be going skills building 4, actually 5, where we're going to go over transitions, graphics, and how to make them work together. And that's it. See you next time.